Hi again. Welcome to our second video in our week one series of lectures for Late Start 101. Before we went over the overview of the course, now I'd like to begin to lecture in sociology and talk about what sociology is. And we will also talk about this week's discussion board. I'll give you a little more information about that. If you don't have your lecture quiz open, please open it. I will be answering questions 3 and 4 in this 15-minute video. So pause, go get your lecture quiz, which is in Canvas under the week 1 module. So open it up and then come back and continue. All right, so what is sociology? You are all in this sociology class right here. Sociology is the scientific study of human societies. Sociologists examine the collective interactions of people within a particular social structure and the meanings that these people give to their interactions with one another. So I like to deconstruct the definition that I just read for you and really get to the heart of what sociology is. So torn apart, we want to look at the word society. So society is a group or collectivity of people who share the same culture. So sociologists aren't really concerned with the individual, like say in psychology, but instead we are interested in the social group. Sociologists study how factors external to the individual give rise to different behaviors and situations, and how individuals, through their membership in specific social groups, experience and interpret these behaviors and situations. So we study society, or the social group. The other important aspect of the definition that I've given you here for sociology is scientific study. So a scientific study is a study which seeks explanations and looks for patterns. Studies must be systematic and thorough. So, many social thinkers think about society or the social group. Philosophers do, historians do, even journalists do. But what sets sociology apart from these is the way that we study the various theories and factors and concepts related to the social group through using social scientific research methods, which we will talk about more next week. The sociological imagination is an important concept it's what we're looking at this week mainly in our discussion board and in our whole week. The sociologist C. Wright Mills was the person who coined the term the sociological imagination. Oh, I missed one. Okay, I'm going to go back actually. Let me go back here. Okay, so what is sociology? I meant to tell you that the term sociology was coined by Auguste Comte, who was a French thinker in the 18th century. And so the answer to your third quiz question is false, because it was not Karl Marx who coined the term sociology. It was Auguste Comte. Okay, so let's go on and we will get to your fourth quiz question right here. So the term the sociological imagination was coined by C. Wright Mills, and I want to show you a picture of him. This picture is from the 1950s. He was considered a really cool, he was like the cool sociologist. He rode his very cool BMW motorcycle to class every day in his leather jacket. He studied some really interesting things about power arrangements in society. But he's probably best known for coining this term, the sociological imagination, which we all talk about. It is the sociological imagination is, in short, the way that we view the social world through a sociological lens, or how sociologists view the world. So the sociologist C. Wright Mills made a distinction between what he called personal troubles and public issues. Personal troubles are matters involving a person's character and his or her relations with others. So personal troubles typically can be resolved in local environments. And then he made a distinction between personal troubles and public issues. Public issues have to do with matters that transcend the local environments of the individual. So the way that we look at things in sociology is that we recognize that we all have personal troubles, or we have personal stuff going on in our lives. But in sociology, what we do is we transcend those personal troubles and connect them with larger, broader public issues that people other than us are having at the same time as us. So an example of that would be like unemployment. So you might be unemployed, and it might be causing you a lot of personal heartache. It might be really bothering you. You might be thinking, why aren't I getting a job? I really need money. Am I not getting that job because I don't have the right education, or I did poorly in the interview, or I wore the wrong clothes, or maybe I should have showered and I didn't shower? So those are all ways that we would look at the issue of unemployment from a personal perspective. So it's a personal trouble. But for C. Wright Mills, he would ask us to connect those personal troubles with the public issue of unemployment. So the way that we would look at unemployment as a public issue is by looking at what is causing unemployment in a broader sense. Is there an economic downturn? Is there a technological issue that has changed the workplace for a specific workforce? For instance, in journalism, in newspapers, when the internet came around and everything went digital, that really changed the newspaper business. So if you were in the newspaper business, this might have really affected you, and it might not have had anything to do with you. It was just technological advancement. So what C. Wright Mills is asking us to do is to connect, to see that our personal troubles, the stuff we're going through, whether it is buying a new car, family violence, drunk driving, suicide, breakups of relationships, that these personal troubles can all be connected to public issues. And so he asks us to look at it that way. So the answer to quiz question number 4, I don't have the exact, I guess it's the ability to see the impact on massive cultural and historical processes on our private lives. I'm not sure which quote I put on the quiz, but the answer is true. Okay, so the answer to quiz question 4 is true. So this week in our discussion board, I've asked you to look at parades using your sociological imagination. So, like I said in the previous video, part 1 of all discussion boards are due on Thursdays. So the one this week is due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So Thursday, I don't know when you're going to listen to this actually, Thursday at 11:59 p.m. And what you're going to do is what I've asked you to do is to examine a parade of your choice using your sociological imagination. if you look at the discussion board, you'll see that I've included a whole series of questions. Of those questions, the most important one, and the one that I'll ask you to spend the most time on, is question number 4, because it's with question number 4 that I'm asking you to look at the parade using your sociological imagination. Let me go back to this. So Dalton Conley, who's the writer of your textbook, he uses this way to describe the sociological imagination. It's a way to make the familiar strange, or to question habits or customs that seem natural to us. That's what I'm asking you to do in your discussion board this week. You are going to look at the different elements of the parade. You can watch these parades with the sound off. And the idea is to look at the elements of the parade. Look at who's leading the parade. The person leading the parade is important to the community that is putting on the parade. It's someone that they hold in high esteem. So look at the category of the person. When you're in the discussion board, your discussion groups are made up of 12 to 13 people each. Look at the different parades of the people in your discussion board. See who's leading it. Just, try to determine how many people leading the parades are men. How many are women? And what does that tell us about gender roles in our society, or even just in these communities? I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. I only have a few minutes left. Let me see. I'm going to go on from here. So this is an example of a parade. This is a military parade in North Korea. And then let me show you another one. Another parade. This is a Disneyland parade. You can see these parades are really, really different. Okay, one thing we can say for sure is that they're really different. So you guys look at this before I say another word. Look at them and see what are the differences. So the Disneyland parade has flamboyant colors, right, compared to the North Korean parade. The Disneyland parade has sort of outlandish fairy tale characters, and the people who are taking part in the parade are dressed in wild costumes with wild colors. Look at who is leading the parade, or who's sort of the highest up. It's Mickey Mouse. It's actually not, that's not Mickey Mouse, is it? Usually I have one that's Mickey Mouse. That's Pinocchio, I think. Standing on top of the whale. This is brightly colored. It's not super orderly. You can imagine the noise and what it might sound like. Compare that to what's happening here. What you see here is more muted colors, extreme orderliness. We can't tell who's leading, really, except for these 3 guys in the front, but we can't really distinguish them from anybody else, and that's an important thing for us to look at as well. Are the people leading it different from anybody else? So let's compare. The Disneyland parade is a typical American parade, and this North Korean parade, I guess it's the 70th anniversary celebration of the Workers' Party. These are important in the culture. So what do they tell us about the culture? They tell us, this one tells us that North Koreans value orderliness. They think very highly of their military, and that sort of flamboyance isn't appropriate. And here we sort of value the make-believe. We value bright colors. We value sort of the childlike time in our lives. So what do the parades tell you about our community? Look at the gender roles. Look at who's leading the parades. Look at the costumes. What are people wearing? And what does it tell us about the society they are found in? I'm going to stop there because I'm going to get stopped at 15 minutes. But I will see you on our third